And a warm welcome to GRTS News at 2000 hours. We are live broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. In the headlines, the U.S. State Department 22nd Annual Trafficking in Persons report ranks the Gambia to second tier after assessing the country as not fully meeting the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking in persons, but making significant efforts to do so. The Director General at the Gambia Radio and Television Services discusses bilaterals with His Eminence Archbishop Sam Zuga, the Chief Executive Officer of the Sam Zuga Empire. The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Roots Project meet with financial institutions to discuss challenges smallholder farmers face in accessing finance towards agricultural development, plus culture for posterity. The Yoruba community in the Gambia, under the patronage of King Moshood Obolade, celebrates the Ojude Oba Festival. And away from home, a court in Morocco sentences 33 migrants to 11 months in jail for illegal entry into the country. Well, details of this and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. I am Aissatou Keita, and thanks for joining us. Well, a warm welcome to GRTS News. We begin with this release from the U.S. State Department, and it reads, the U.S. State Department has released the 22nd Annual Trafficking in Persons report, assessing anti-trafficking efforts of 188 governments, including the Gambia. The report ranks the Gambia to second tier after assessing the country as not fully meeting the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking in persons set forth in the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000, but making significant efforts to do so. Tier 2 consists of countries that are making significant efforts to meet the minimum standards but fail to provide evidence of increasing efforts for the previous years, including increased investigations, prosecutions, and convictions of trafficking crimes, increased assistance to victims, and decreasing complicity in trafficking by government officials, or where the estimated number of victims is very significant or significantly increasing, and the country is not taking proportional concrete actions. Countries assessed as fully meeting the TVPA's minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking are placed on Tier 1, while those assessed as not fully meeting the minimum standards and not making significant efforts to do so are ranked Tier 3. The TIP report narrative contains prioritized recommendations for the government of the Gambia to consider implementing over the coming year. These recommendations constitute a suggested action plan that aims to provide government with guidance on key efforts necessary to better meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking in persons. The goal of this year's TIP report is to highlight and emphasize the importance of meaningful survivor engagement, significantly with efforts with personal experience of human trafficking for whom sufficient time has passed since their victimization, and to share context, lessons learned, and guidance to governments, international organizations, civil society, private sector entities, and other stakeholders who wish to further their survivor engagement efforts. Human trafficking is a shared challenge. In the United States, human trafficking cases have been reported in all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and U.S. territories. In the spirit of transparency and with a goal of strengthening efforts at home and in partnership with other countries, the TIP report contains a tier ranking and narrative of U.S. efforts to address human trafficking. This assessment evaluates the United States according to the same standards as other countries. The TIP report has included the United States every year since the 2010 report release ends. Now, His Eminence Archbishop Sam Zuga, the Chief Executive Officer of the Sam Zuga Empire based in the United Arab Emirates, has paid a visit to the Director General of the Gambia Radio and Television Services. The two discuss matters relating to the operations of the state broadcaster and how together they can mitigate the challenges confronting the institution. Farmer Abaji has more.
One of the reasons for Archbishop Professor Sam Zuga's visit to the Gambia is to extend philanthropy encourage entrepreneurship, and support national undertakings reshaping the country. Meeting top institutional heads including the Director General of the Public Broadcaster GRTS, Archbishop Professor Zuga expressed his intent to understand the operational challenges of the state institution to devise possible means of intervention and support. During their discussions, GRTS Director General Malik Jang welcomed the Nigerian Archbishop and outlined some key challenges facing the public broadcaster.
GRTS, of course, is the national broadcaster of the Gambia. We have made some strides in extending our reach, but we still have a few shortcomings. We still have some deficiencies. We would appreciate any kind of assistance from any quarter to help us expand our reach and expand our service, our facilities.
For his part, Archbishop and philanthropist said development should not be centered on the state alone.
And as a philanthropist, my job is to help in any area of need as the God of heaven will give me an ability. So I believe by being with you, your story will not remain the same. There must be a change. Let's see what is on ground and then see where we can come in. Development is not supposed to be in the hands of government alone. So if as a people we choose to contribute our quota, society will be better.
The bishop further said his mission is to adequately contribute to the development of the Gambia.
I really want to make Gambia proud, and I believe at the end of the day, what we do here, other countries will emulate peace, because I am here because of the peace that I had in Gambia. And since I came here, I've been enjoying the peace, I've been enjoying the hospitality, I've been seeing how motorists will pass through checkpoint. Police doesn't have gun.
Archbishop Professor Zuga was later taken on a conducted tour of the broadcasting facility by the Director of Engineering, Ida Bahum. After the tour, these top Nigerian priests and philanthropists pledged support for the broadcaster.
And I believe that we have assessed what is available. I believe in doing the impossible using the available. So when we go back home, sit down and then see the area we can come in. We can start from somewhere and get to somewhere.
Archbishop Sam Zuga is the world's first professor of digital economy and the founder of the Sam Zuga Business Empire, a leading crypto pioneer with investments around the world focused on 0% carbon emissions. His initiatives mainly back and fund projects expanding climate change intervention and public resilience. Farmer Abaji, GRTS News.
Looking forward to such philanthropic gesture. Now, the Ministry of Petroleum and Energy, with funding and technical support from the World Bank, has launched the National Energy Efficiency Strategy of the Gambia. The strategic document is expected to guide the national stride to meet the demand on electricity and clean energy production management. By Ibrahim Cham has the details.
Cornerstone to universal electricity access, and Gambia is on a bracing journey to accomplish this milestone. On a major crusade to end energy poverty and enhance economic and social benefits for Gambian communities, the Energy Ministry, with financial and technical support from the World Bank, has drafted the country's first national energy efficiency strategy. The Permanent Secretary at the Energy and Petroleum Ministry, Lamin Kamara, outlined the strategic objectives in the document, drawn to reduce energy consumption by industrial, commercial, and residential sectors towards efficient use. The program joins a major effort to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and dependency on fossil fuels to meet international climate change obligations.
The World Bank has also helped the Gambia scale up energy efficiency, notably by financing the replacement of 2,000 incandescent streetlights with LED bulbs that have helped to reduce energy consumption by 60%, and by rolling out an information campaign targeting reduced electricity waste in public and commercial buildings. However, to date, there hasn't been an overarching EE strategy or institutional framework put in place, recognizing the potential to contribute to the overall goals of the energy sector, including universal access and lower carbon emissions. The government would like to build on the successes of the above-mentioned activities and establish, for the first time, the National Energy Efficiency Strategy.
Senior Energy Officer Lamin K. Marong, who works as a focal point for the Energy Ministry on the National Energy Efficiency Strategy project, emphasized the importance of attitudinal change in mitigating energy wastage in residential, industrial, and commercial zones, causing frequent outages due to the growing high demand for energy.
There needs to be an energy audit that needs to be conducted in all public buildings to assess, to know what are their level of energy consumption. And that level of energy consumption can be greatly reduced by retrofitting some of the appliances or equipment that are used in some of these public buildings. As we realize that some of these buildings use high amount of energy. You know, the ACs that they are using are they're probably not efficient. The refrigerators that they are using, the lighting, in fact, that they are using are not that efficient. So all these are geared towards making the country to become energy efficient, thereby reducing our carbon footprint and the need to have more generating power.
The sensitization and implementation phase comes next in the journey of the strategic document, labeled as a cross-cutting issue affecting all sectors of economic growth and development. Reporting for GRTS News, I'm by Ibrahim Cham.
Guaranty Trust Bank on Wednesday held the final draw of its Save and Win promotion, an initiative of the bank to encourage the art of saving among its customers. Janke Ture was there and she filed in this report.
GT Bank Save and Win is...
The Save and Win promotion is a GT Bank initiative encouraging customers to adopt the culture of saving funds for future use. The bank conducted its final draw for winners of the Save and Win promo, announcing the latest winners of the major prize lottery.
Our fourth winner for the third category is Sherifu Jajusi.
The promotion has three main categories, according to the bank officials, who formally explained the rules of the process to participants before the commencement of the draw.
An average balance of $1,000 to $50,000 in their account for the period to qualify to win a bag of rice, a bag of sugar, and a gallon of vegetable oil. In category 2, we have 3 customers to maintain an average balance of $50,001 to $200,000 in their account, savings account, to enable them qualify to win LG fridge, freezer, and 32-inch LED TV and a gas cooker.
In a transparent procedure, 5 customers won prizes from the first category, and 3 customers won from the second category, whilst 3 others won prizes in the third category, including the much talked about grand prize Hyundai Yaris Salon car, which was secured by a lady. On the phone, each of the winners was called and informed of their win in an emotive moment of unbridled happiness, eliciting mixed reactions as others screamed in with joy over the news.
How would you feel if you are the ultimate winner? How would you feel, Judith?
Is this a joke? I know anything. Please, if this is a joke, please stop it. Because...
Judith, take it easy. I told you we are calling you from Guaranty Trust Bank, and it's verifiable. It's no joke. Congratulations. You are the grand winner of our prize. That's a Toyota Yaris, based on the draw that has just been carried out this afternoon at the head office of Guaranty Trust Bank.
You're not joking.
The promotion joins the bank's social corporate efforts, saying thanks to customers for their loyalty to the GT Bank. The next process in Save and Win promo is scheduled for July 28 to deliver the bonanza to lucky winners. Janke Ture, GRTS News.
And now to a press release, and it reads, the public, especially the business community and procuring organization, are hereby informed to kindly take note of the following. All procurement submissions for requests for approval shall be reviewed by a committee and henceforth will be officially stamped and signed solely by either of the following directors: Director of Compliance and Procurement Practices, Director of Procurement Policy and Operation. So any approval not signed and stamped by a director should be considered invalid and not honored by the authority, and by extension should not be honored by the procuring organization. Furthermore, the procuring organization are henceforth urged to report any evidence of inconsistency contradictory to the press release. Management continues to seek your support in ensuring that procurement processes in the public sector are open, fair, and transparent, and they are delivered best value for money. The release ends. Now, the Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in partnership with the Roots Project, has convened a meeting with financial institutions on financial for smallholder farmers. The meeting seeks to address challenges faced by farmers in accessing finance towards agricultural development. Usman Mane has the details.
Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry is the lead implementing partner of the Resilience of Organization for Transformative Smallholder Agriculture Project, the Roots. The initiative is to build on the successes of the NEMA project, thereby improving the services of smallholder farmers across the country. For growth for farmers and business startups is access to finance, which continues to be an obstacle to food security. Despite a $20.60 million funding gap of the Roots project, it provides a matching grant for smallholder farmer organizations, which attracted about 900 applicants. Microfinance institutions and commercial banks play a pivotal role in agricultural financing in partnership with development projects. To this end, the GCCI convened a two-day high-level breakfast meeting on agricultural financing for producers and SMEs in Bigelow. Babukar Saho works with the GCCI.
We understand that to get value, we need to bring value. So that is why, through this Roots project, we intend to bring the value, the financial support that is to get to the primary beneficiaries on the table.
Matching grants support value chain financing and post-harvest loss, as well as value addition for farmers. This is facilitated by financial institutions. However, interest rate on lending and lack of capacity of farmers, among others, has been a major challenge over the years, according to officials from financial institutions during the discussions.
The lack of data is extremely hindering both the producers and the financiers. And if there is no data for the banks to actually look at and see a gap to finance a producer locally, to fill that gap, then the farmer doesn't know how much they have to produce, and the banks don't know how much they think that producer can actually sell those produce in order to be able to fulfill their financial obligations with the bank.
So it's on the back of that Trust Bank was heavily involved in the NEMA project, and we are also heavily involved in this thing. We are on negotiation with Roots. Of course, we're trying to tidy up certain things. I'm sure the MOU is on the way. We want to make sure this is a success.
But we have products for the agricultural sector. Unfortunately, it's not for the long term because of the liquidity issues we have, the mismatch in terms of liquidity. But it takes care of the interest cost, and it also takes care of collateral challenges that normally we have in the industry.
The beneficiaries, they may not have a proposal. Some of them do not have a project in mind. And because, as somebody rightly stated here, that the money is free, everybody will go and ask for this cash, and the cash is not put into good use. Most of the cash that is taken, if we don't have the people on the ground to be able to monitor the people that are taking this cash, most monies that are taken from the banks are definitely leaked into who knows where it goes.
The session identifies risks and opportunities for investment in agriculture through the public, private, producer, and partnership modalities of the Roots project, facilitating access to market. A former agriculture minister, Musa Mbenga, said the root cause of unproductive investment in agriculture is financing.
the root problem is the cost of the financing. Under our conditions, it is practically impossible to find any enterprise with an internal rate of return of 18%. It's not possible, or it's very, very, very rare. And especially the target, they cannot have an IRR more than 18%. So if you want to give them a loan where they have to pay 18%, it's a no-starter.
The Central Bank of the Gambia is creating an environment that would reduce risks for financing institutions for agricultural investment. The convergence, according to officials, will seek redress to challenges to finance for smallholder farmers and value chain actors. Usman Mane, GRTS.
Now, the Gambia Police Force has laid the foundation stone for the reconstruction of the Serekunda Police Station as part of the government security sector reform program. The project is jointly funded by the German International Corporation and the European Union. Famara Baji.
Serekunda Police Station is the busiest police bureau in the Gambia's metropolis, with floods of cases reaching the law enforcement center on a daily basis. At the center of the country's biggest market, Serekunda Police Station deals with everything from minor to major crimes, daily offenses of loitering, wrong parking, as well as business and domestic problems needing police intervention, but the bureau's ancient structures were falling apart amidst decade dilapidation. The promise of a robust facelift for the station comes as the High Command of the Gambia Police Force partners with German development group GIZ and European Union to construct modern facilities at the station.
As history takes us back, the Gambia Police Force, if not, is one of the oldest institutions in this country, dating back to almost 2 centuries ago, nearly 200 years ago. So it is not a coincidence that it has to occupy one of the most aging infrastructure across the country.
The Gambia Police Force is more effective at ensuring human security at individual and community level, with due regard to international human rights standards. One way to achieve this objective is to upgrade police stations and to rehabilitate them in a way that they accord to minimum standards of best practices.
Since the transfer of power in 2017, international partners have been supporting the Gambia's democratization agenda, engaging advances in multiple areas to support security reforms and protect the rights of the citizenry. The new model police station to be built will include several vital sections, including this:
a reception area, separate interview rooms for criminal investigation and sexual and gender-based violence, crimes and offenses. These interview rooms will accord victims the much-needed privacy that was lacking at the police station hitherto. Exhibit stores for proper storage of evidentiary materials recovered from crime scenes or during criminal investigations. Separate detention facility for male, females, and juveniles. These facilities will be removed from public view to protect the human rights of the detainees.
Sanitary facilities should be accessible. There should be a separate room for the child welfare unit. This is important so that survivors of gender-based violence and children can feel safe and comfortable to report their cases.
Reconstructing a structure overly conducive for accommodation to cover the many responsibilities of the police is the idea amidst hopes that the project will address challenges faced in navigating the busy Serekunda police station area due to its proximity to the market.
We hope the beginning of, or the initiation of this first step of this phase of this project will go a long way to redress the challenges that is confronting the police in terms of structural development.
It's our hope that upon completion and handing over to the GPF, The officers will have conducive working environment to better serve their clients, the Gambian public. Communities will realize the improvement in security through proactive policing. Rights of inmates will be better protected. Significant reduction of crime in the greater Banjul area.
The laying of the foundation stone marks the beginning of a much-needed infrastructure program, set to look like this when upgraded to modern standards. Gambia Police Force is marking a watershed moment in the history of the police force as they move to enhance security operations in the metropolis. Farmer Abaji, GRTS News.
And culture for posterity, the Yoruba community in the Gambia, under the patronage of King Moshood Obalade, celebrates the Ojude Oba Festival. The moment pays homage and respect to royalty, an ancient tradition founded by the then Yoruba king of the Ogun state in the southwestern Nigeria. Louis Mende has the details.
Yoruba community in the Gambia celebrates the Ojude Oba Festival, the first edition on the country and under the patronage of their father figure, Justice of Peace, Moshood Abolade, the king of the Yoruba community in the Gambia. Usually observed on the third day of the Eid al-Kabir, the moment of culture, fashion, glamour, candor, and royalty is reserved to pay homage and show respect to the royal majesty in the most spiritual way.
Ojude Oba is not a misconception. It is rightly placed far back in Nigeria. We usually celebrate the second or third day of Salah. We want to inculcate it to our culture here in the Gambia, that is Yoruba community in the Gambia, whereby the first day people will celebrate and rejoice. Then the second day, all of them will converge there at the palace to come and rejoice with all of us.
Day-long celebration, the first of its kind to be celebrated in the country by the Yorubas, attracted the presence of the Yoruba chiefs. King Abolade used the opportunity to thank the Gambia government for the peaceful environment which makes all good things possible.
All my chiefs, all the urban council members, you are sincerely welcome. We should thank the Gambia government for giving us an enabling environment to practice our culture to the fullest, like I said a month ago. This is one of it. This is how to promote your culture. I've told you, if you decide not to promote our culture, who is going to promote it for us? We should thank Gambia government and then thank Nigeria government also that they have a bilateral agreement with the Gambia government, which enable us to showcase our culture to the fullest. And I want to employ all of us to be a good citizen and law-abiding to this, our host country.
On this day at the Oba's Palace in Farato, the event was characterized by feasting. The indoor games also brought some competitions as to who is best on what. Samu Chilon is the president of the Yoruba community in the Gambia.
This will not be limited. By next time, we are going to take it as a national program in the Gambia, so that during the next 3 years, I'm going to pilot the affairs of Nigerians in the Gambia. We are going to celebrate it together as a national Ojude of Nigerian community in the Gambia.
The Ojude Oba Festival also provides a moment of reflection on their origin as a people. For the Yorubas, as one of the 3 largest ethnic groups in Nigeria, concentrated on the southeastern part of the country. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
And to another press release, and it reads, the Gambia Armed Forces informs the public that it will conduct live firing training exercise from Sunday 24th to Saturday 30th July at the Tintimba range in Foni. Therefore, the general public, especially residents of Tintimba, Burok, Kanfenda, Kanilai, Sangajor, and Buyam, are urged not to panic but cautioned to avoid the designated area on the above-mentioned dates the release ends. With that, we take our first break. The news returns in a moment. Do stay.
For the first time in the Gambia, UCMAS, in partnership with AFRISOL, presents a quick reaction thinking educational show. Students between 6 and 13 years. Questions,
4,
answers,
2, 5, 8.
speed, mental abilities, mathematical problems and solution.
3.
Grand prize of 30,000 for the first winner. The UCMAS arithmetic competition. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. and replayed on Saturday at 2 p.m. on GRTS.
The Gambia OIC Secretariat, in collaboration with the Office of the President and Imogam Hotels and Resorts, wishes to invite the general public to the foundation stone laying of a 5-star Radisson Blu Hotel by the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Adama Barrow, on Saturday, 23rd July 2022 at 4 p.m. The construction of a 5-star hotel is one of the key priority projects in preparation for the forthcoming OIC Heads of State and Government Summit. The hotel will have 400 rooms, including 60 presidential and royal suites. The 5-star hotel will ensure the guests receive a befitting accommodation experience. Additionally, it will diversify our tourism portfolio by providing luxurious accommodation facilities for high-end tourists. Let's come out and support this massive
Back on to other news around the world. Nearly 3,000 migrants were imprisoned in Morocco for attempting to scale a border wall last month, separating the North African country from the Spanish enclave of Malia. Details in this CGTN News report.
Court has sentenced 33 migrants to 11 months in jail for illegal entry. This is after the migrants attempted to cross the border between Morocco and Melilla to reach the Spanish territory last month. At least 23 people died in the attempt, which Moroccan authorities have called a stampede. The UN African Union and human rights groups condemned the use of excessive force by the Moroccan and Spanish security services. The court also ordered the accused to each pay fines of $49 along with paying $340 to settle civil rights claims from members of the public services. In response, migrants in Morocco have held protests against the prosecutions. And in Morocco, a court has sentenced 33 migrants to 11 months in jail for illegal entry. This is after the migrants attempted to cross the border between Morocco and Melilla to reach the Spanish territory last month. At least 23 people died in the attempt, which Moroccan authorities have called a stampede. The UN African Union and human rights groups condemned the use of excessive force by the Moroccan and Spanish security services. The court also ordered the accused to each pay fines of $49 along with paying $340 to settle civil rights claims from members of the public services. In response, migrants in Morocco have held protests against the prosecutions.
Well, a Ukrainian military official says Russia is preparing for the next stage of its offensive after Moscow ordered its forces to step up military operations. While most fighting is taking place in the east, Russian rockets and missiles are also pounding cities far from the front lines. Kiev says the attacks have killed dozens of people in recent days. More in this France 24 report.
Destruction in the central Ukrainian city Dnipro, where a Russian missile has left a gaping hole in a residential street. Ukrainian officials say 3 people were killed and 15 wounded.
Our windows were sealed with duct tape, but when the shockwave, some shards of glass still hit me. I was lightly wounded on my left side.
The street is home to the Yuzmash industrial plant. The Russian Defense Ministry says the factory was producing parts for ballistic missiles, making it a legitimate military target.
There was a strike just around the corner, next to Yuzmash. Then I saw a video. Yuzmash was on fire and there were explosions.
Many fled after the attack. Dnipro's mayor urged residents on Facebook to leave. saying it was dangerous to remain. Chuhuyev in Ukraine's northeast. 3 people were killed in a rocket attack here. Local authorities say a school and several homes were hit. A factory destroyed in the harbor city of Odessa, far to the west, away from the front. Military experts predict an increase in Russian strikes as the war of attrition grinds on.
All right, well, let's go to DW's Nick Spicer, who is in the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Hi, Nick, good to see you. So Ukraine says Russia is preparing for the next stage of its offensive in Ukraine. Have officials actually indicated what they're expecting from Russian forces?
No, President Zelensky has acknowledged that even the Russians themselves have said the operational pause is over and they're going to resume offensive operations, but he said that we will endure, we will win, and we will rebuild our lives. But beyond that, no indication as to what the Ukrainians are expecting, but it's not hard to imagine what will occur. It's already happening. Rolling artillery barrages of the kind we've seen over these past few months, where thousands, sometimes 50,000 shells are fired in a day, destroying towns entirely, where Ukrainian defenders are holed up, causing them to retreat strategically, take up defensive positions elsewhere, perhaps more missile attacks striking civilian targets, although the Russians will say there were military personnel within those buildings. So more of the same to a certain extent, Pablo.
Now, how well positioned?
Now, Britain and France were in the grip of a fierce heat wave on Monday, facing record temperatures as southwest Europe wilted under a scorching sun and ferocious wildfires devoured more forests. France 24.
Cooling off however they can. Across Europe, residents are dealing with record-breaking temperatures. Spain has seen almost a week of heat wave, reaching a maximum 45.7 degrees Celsius so far. Some 360 people have died, while the wildfires have killed several civilians and emergency workers. Around 20 wildfires are yet to be controlled across the country. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez visited the west of the country to pay tribute to the firemen who lost their lives.
Cambio climático mata.
Climate change kills, it kills people as we have seen, it kills ecosystems, and kills our biodiversity, and destroys the most valuable belongings of those affected by the fires.
Meanwhile, Portugal remains on high alert for wildfires despite a slight drop in temperatures after hitting 47 degrees Celsius, a record for July. The country's seen some 12,000 to 5,000 hectares of land destroyed. In Greece, authorities have brought a wildfire raging on the Isle of Crete under control. It's the second heatwave to hit Europe in weeks. Scientists blame climate change and predict more frequent and intense episodes of extreme weather. Meanwhile, in the UK, the Weather Office issued a first-ever red warning for extreme heat, cautioning a risk to life.
And to end the news, a look at our main points once again. The U.S. State Department 22nd Annual Trafficking in Persons report has ranked the Gambia to second tier after assessing the country as not fully meeting the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking in persons, but making significant efforts to do so. The Director General at the Gambia Radio and Television Services have discussed bilaterals with His Eminence Archbishop Sam Zuga, the Chief Executive Officer of the Sam Zuga Empire. The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Roots Project met with financial institutions to discuss challenges smallholder farmers face in accessing finance towards agricultural development. Plus, Culture for Prosperity. The Yoruba community in the Gambia, under the patronage of King Moshood Obolade, has celebrated the Ojude Oba Festival. Away from home, a court in Morocco has sentenced 33 migrants to 11 months in jail for illegal entry into the country. Well, that was all at the news at 8. Do join me again at 2200 hours for more news and updates. Until then, I am Aissatou Keita and thanks for watching.
What keeps us connected?